Seagulls. I reckon there must be people on about 5 councils across Australia that think that's what I am. A noisy thing that just comes along, craps over everything and then flies off again. But today I feel justified because in that red square is someone who's disabled and they're in an electric wheelchair and they're driving that thing on the road, on the wrong side of the road, because the path they wanted to use is closed because of construction work, and there are no pram ramps that they can use to get across the road onto the path that they want to be on. So, context. This is Batehaven, and on our right is Batehaven Public School, primary school, whatever you want to call it. And council has, well, someone has recently decided to do some roadworks here and improve a crossing. And look, I've got no complaints with that. It's great. There's going to be an improved crossing, and hopefully one day there might be some improved footpaths and shared paths around here, and maybe even a path across here so we don't have to use this desire line. Anyway, here's all the construction work on the left, and there was already a kids crossing there, and I think what they're doing is putting in a speed cushion or a speed hump there. Can't really tell. But anyway, what I'm on at the moment is a shared path that's probably been here for, I don't know, 20 years. It's a bit narrow, etc. And over there on the left, where I've badly coloured in pink, is another shared path. Now, what you would think is there would be a link from this path to that path across the road. And, you know, you do that by, in about this position, putting in a pram ramp. So you could turn off here, go across the road, and join the other path. Well, if you thought that, you'd be very, very wrong. And that's why that disabled bloke in a wheelchair was on the road. So there's a bike path on the side of the road that goes over that way. Across over here, as you can see, it's still a shared path. It's got the symbology, pavement markings. So this path continues on down here and down there. That's fine. Now, there's also a bike path over there going that way. And there's no way to get from this path to that path because there is no ramp about here to let you get off this path and onto that one. And also, when you get down the bottom there, the only way to get onto that other path is to go that way, do a U-turn and come back, because there's no path that takes you from the ramp across that little grassy strip there, which is kind of screwball design. You know, nothing's joined up. So let's ride this little debacle and have a closer look. And so the only way I can get off the path onto the road is at that pram ramp there. There's no pram ramp further down the hill. Now, the other problem is when I go around the corner and try and join this other shared path, there's some missing concrete here as well. I mean, it's not much. It's only a couple of square meters, but it would be really good if it was filled in, because where I want to go is, again, a desire line there across the grass onto this path. And the way the designers of this have, you know, decided you should do it, and again, this is probably done 20 years ago when the suburb was developed and might have been put in by the developer, not the council, is you're supposed to ride along here and then kind of do a U-turn and you're back on the path. And of course, nobody does that. They all ride across the grass. Now, the other problem, as we're going to see along here, is this is just one long continuous path. And there are no ramps to get off this onto the side streets, which is a kind of screwball way of doing things. But let's stop at this one and have a closer look. Now, how do you get from this bike path to houses on the other side of the road or into this street, grey place? There we go. And is there a path there or anything across the verge? Nope. Nothing as far as the eye can see. And that's the same all the way along here. The only exit pram ramp on this path is about 300 or 400 metres up the road there where this path ends. Now, the saving grace is this verge or ramp is really ramped. See? It's not steep at all. It's not a square curb, so you can ride over it. So it doesn't really matter, but what it points to is just poor design thinking. So in summary, I think this work that's going on here is really good, but there needs to be more thought put into retrofitting pram ramps around the place on these older paths, which have been here for a decade or two. And the reason for that is the sloped curbs that are in place in a lot of places are absolutely fine for a cyclist like me. I'm fit, I'm able-bodied, I mountain bike, I can jump over rocks and logs and stuff, which are much more of an impediment to than that sloped curb. However, I'm not exactly typical. You know, there are plenty of people around the area who are getting around in gophers or electric wheelchairs or electric bikes of some sort who are not able-bodied and they're not fit. And ramps like that, curbs like that are a real challenge. And it's not just the curb, it's getting across the grassy verge. Now, you notice those electric wheelchair things, they're not four-wheel drive and they don't have off-road tyres on them. And last year when we had the floods and those verges were just an absolute wet swamp, I had to stop one day and pull a bloke in one of these wheelchairs out of the verge because he'd tried to go from the path across to the road and had gotten stuck. And it wasn't until a good Samaritan came along that he was able to get out of that mess and go on his way. So, yeah, don't just think about the able-bodied skilled people. You got to think about the people who aren't able-bodied or don't have the skills. So, yes, some pram ramps around the place would be a really good thing to retrofit. Seagull over, seagull out.